Yeah, chapter 24, verse 13. Maybe weekly, I don't want to. I brought my own handkerchief, which is probably yours. Thank you. Luke chapter 24, if you have that, please say amen. Also, let's remember Brother Junior Skaggs, whose heart is heavy because he wants to be in church, but he's out driving the truck right now. Just got a lot of folk, got a lot of things going on. I'm just glad for a group of people that want to be in God's house, even when they can't be. All right, let's read. And behold, two of them went the same day to a village called Emmaus, which was from Jerusalem about 80 furlongs, about 7 miles. And they talked together of all these things which had happened. And it came to pass that while they communed together and reasoned, Jesus himself drew near. That's good right there, isn't it? Jesus himself drew near. How many wants him to draw near to them? I believe he already has. And not only did he draw near to them, but went with them. Look at verse 16, very important verse today. But their eyes were holden, or withholden, were closed. No revelation, no illumination of who this was. But their eyes were holden that they should not know him. Because of their eyes, they could not know him. And he said unto them, what manner of communications are these that you have one to another as you walk? And I said, why is your head down for? Why are you melancholy? Skip down to verse 27. And beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded unto them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself. I wish I had a long time to preach today. And they drew nigh unto the village whither they went, and he made as though he would have gone further. But they constrained him, saying, abide with us. Somebody say, abide with us. It may be awesome if the church would pray that today and mean it. For it is toward evening, and the day is far spent. And he went in to tarry with them. And it came to pass, as he sat at meat with them, he took bread and blessed it and brake and gave to them. Look what happens in verse 31. And their eyes were opened. Verse 16 says their eyes were holden, their eyes were shut. They should not know. But now verse 31, their eyes were open and they knew him. And he vanished out of their sight. Isn't it amazing? As soon as they know who he is, he's gone. Some of y'all backslide. That's the way we do. We get upset into some great miracle because they don't just stay there. You have to go back down to the valley. We get upset. Let's don't do that. Let's just thank God right now for opening our eyes and being with us. Even if I can't feel him right now, thank you for what I saw yesterday. Somebody shout amen. Look at verse 32. And they said one to another, did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us by the way and while he opened to us the scriptures? This is my verse, 33. I love it. I haven't been able to shake it for about a week and a half now. And they rose up the same hour and returned to Jerusalem 7 miles. And found the 11 gathered together and them that were with them, saying, the Lord is risen indeed and hath appeared to Simon. And they told what things were done in the way and how he was known to them in breaking bread. I want to preach just a little while on rest for the rest of the journey. Let's pray. Father, we thank you. I love you for what I've already felt in this house. If there was no preaching, we could go home and say, surely the Lord was in this place. I thank you for the healing that we've seen. I thank you for the testimonies. I thank you for the awesome word that we've already heard. We thank you for the singing and the music. God, we're just grateful to be in your house and to be in your presence. We're not worthy of it. Your grace is so incredible we can never earn it. And let us realize that today and strive like we've never strove before. Father, please move in this house. Unction here and action there. I pray that you would meet us in a powerful way, that when you're done with this place, that no one but you can get the glory. As we pray in Jesus' name. Somebody shout amen. Amazing. I got up this morning and I didn't feel like putting the PowerPoint together. I didn't feel like I didn't even bring notes really. Just brought my Bible, which is kind of dangerous. But it's just, I got so much on my heart. It's hard to, it's like walking up to the ocean. And you got this 5-gallon bucket, and you got to figure out which 5-gallon bucket is the one for that moment. And it's just almost impossible, which is why we walk by faith, isn't it? We need him so bad. I want you to look here. The context verse 20, chapter 24, is a crucifixion and resurrection, really. As we come in, and it starts out with Mary and those guys down at the tomb, the spices, come down to embalm the body. He's not there. And it moves through those first 12 verses, and then it comes to verse 13, and it shoots over. It's kind of parenthetical in a sense, but it's happening at the same time, around that time. There's a man named Cleopas that appears, maybe his wife, and they're walking home. They're in Jerusalem. They have been following Christ. They have given their hearts to Christ. And it really means something here. It's an important thing to understand that it wasn't like you jumped from Revival Tabernacle over to a church that was just like Revival Tabernacle. The culture here was hostile for anything that was not Judaic, or if you weren't Hebrew, if you weren't Jewish, if you didn't adhere to their principles, it was really hostile. You were excommunicated, exiled, and in a great sense considered a dog if you were a Gentile especially. These people had more or less said, we're no longer Judaic. We're going to follow Jesus Christ. That meant they lost their family. That means that they lost their friends. That means that they were more or less treated as outcasts. And now, this person that they gave their life up for is hanging on a tree and is dead. They didn't see the resurrection. They were not at the tomb. In their mind, they watched him bleed. They watched him suffer. They heard him say, it's finished. They saw him take his body off the cross and saw Joseph and Nicodemus take that body, and now he's in a tomb, the stone rolled across the door and soldiers there. That was the last that they knew about Jesus, and now they are shattered. Because now they got to go home now. They got to go back to their family. They've got to go back to the friends, and they've got to figure out where to start from now. They've really blown things up. And the text tells us that they are sad. And it also tells us that they look sad. Their countenance is melancholy. It's gloomy. It's hard to preach this and not laugh, because they're talking about Jesus Christ hanging on a cross, dying. And this man walks up and starts talking to them. Now they're talking to each other about Christ, and I'll just go ahead and shoot and tell you. Jesus comes. In their mind, he's in a tomb, rotting, a corpse, but he's not. He's walking with them. Would you like to have Jesus as your commentator? I mean, when you study, you go to Albert Barnes, you go to Clark, I go to Mattoon, and some of these guys, newer guys, you know, John Phillips, some of these cats, and they're good. You know, you eat the fish, spit out the bones, but I'm not talking about eating fish and spitting out. I'm talking about Jesus Christ. As he's walking, the Bible said he began to expound the scriptures concerning himself. That's beautiful. Do you know what that means? That means while Cleopas and maybe his wife, these two disciples are walking, Jesus starts saying, do you remember when Abraham took Isaac up on Mount Moriah and was going to sacrifice? I said, yeah. They said, that was Messiah. That was the Jesus that was hanging on the cross. He said, do you remember when Moses came down to the Red Sea and the Red Sea parted? I said, yeah. So that was a type of Jesus. That was him right there. Do you remember Noah when he built the ark and the flood came and the 8 souls were spared? And I said, yeah, that was Jesus right there. He expounds the scriptures concerning himself. Do you remember the 4th man in the book of Daniel? He said that was him. They begin to talk and their countenance begins to change. 7 miles. I don't know if that boy like me takes about 15 minutes to walk a mile. I don't know how long it takes a man to walk a mile when you're sad. They're kicking rocks. Let's just say 20-minute mile. 7 miles. You're talking about 2 hours and a half. 2 hours, 20 minutes, 2 hours and a half, let's just say. It's nighttime now. They're sad. The countenance is down. They're talking to Jesus, but everything he says begins to kindle a fire. They come into the house and they still don't know who he is. I watch you and I love you so much, and it happens to me quite often. These guys are in desperate need of rest. They're weary in their minds. I need a vacation, don't you? Somebody shout amen. Why do we need a vacation? I saw Sister Linda throw her feet on that one. She wiggled her toes on that one. We always want to go to Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge or Myrtle Beach. We want to go to Florida. We want to go to the moon somewhere to get away. And someone give me some rest. I'll tell you what I've discovered. Rest isn't a situation concerning anatomy. Of course, if you don't sleep and you work too hard, you get physically tired. But that's not our issue today. Rest is an issue of the mind. Rest is an issue of the mind. And I think one of the fallacies that's happened to us, I just think across Christianity as a whole, is we have come to the place where we have asked Jesus to give us life, to give us means of having life. We've asked Jesus to give us something that will give us joy. And we've said, God, would you give me something, or let somebody pass by my life that will give me rest, that will give me this or give me that. And I think one of the issues with that is we don't understand that we don't have to go to the Bahamas to have rest. Jesus Christ is our Sabbath. I don't need Him to give me rest. He is my rest. And I want you to look at these two disciples as they begin to walk. And they don't understand. They're depressed. They're melancholy. They're set down upon them. They're gloomy. They're hurting. They're struggling with their faith. And you'll find they said, we trusted in Him. So now their trust is being shattered. They had put their faith in Him, and now He's dead. They said this was Him that was a prophet. That everything that they thought was going in their place is now falling apart. Can you give me my monitor back, brother? Need some monitor, Brother Greg. Everything that they thought is now shattered. They are so chaotic in their minds, they don't even realize the thing that they need the worst in anything in this world is walking right alongside of them. Looking for an answer, and the answer is talking to them. Looking for rest, and rest is talking to them. Looking for peace, and peace is talking to them. Complaining about what is in the past. Complaining about what is in Jerusalem, who is laying in a tomb, but really He's walking beside. The issue is that they have Jesus in their mind, how they've always known Him, and now He's manifested Himself in a way they've never even dreamed. You say, I need God, He's here. You say, I need rest, He's here. But because your mind is so cluttered, you don't know. I can show you when Abraham goes up to offer Isaac. You remember he lays Isaac down, he goes to strike him with the knife. The angel of the Lord says, don't do it. And you look and there's a ram, and they figured that ram had always been there. But the Isaac situation had cluttered their mind to such a degree that they didn't see the provision that was already there. You don't have to wonder, is God going to do it? He has already done it. You don't have to question, is there going to be rest for me? It's already here. It's in Jesus Christ. There's a danger in this, a great danger. When the mind begins to get cluttered, when your heart and your mind are cluttered with life and situations, if you're not real careful, you'll find yourself sinning. You lose focus, you sin. It's that simple. I want to show you. David does not go to battle. There could be 1,000 different reasons. He's older now. He's fought many battles, but David's not a chump, Brother Tom. This is a man of war. He wants to build the temple of God. God says you can't because you're a bloody man. He has killed countless hundreds, maybe thousands of people. David wasn't the guy that stood in the back of the ranks and gave orders. David was a man that was out front fighting. But not this time. This time he stays behind. His soldiers had told him, said, you're worth more than 10,000 of us. There's no reason for you to fight. It doesn't really matter. I believe there's a sense in which David had become weary. He staggers out, and he goes out on the top on his roof. He looks down, and there we see Bathsheba bathing. This cat has seen thousands of naked women. I hate to be explicit about it. This is not the first naked lady he's seen. Why this time? Why this time? He's tired. He's weary. He's fighting a struggle in his mind. David is a man that knows the law of God. He knows this is adultery and then murders Uriah the Hittite, her husband. This is not the actions of a man of God. What happens? I'm telling you right now, when you lose your focus on God, stuff starts happening. Stuff starts happening. You start slipping. And you say, I don't understand. Why can't I get a grip on this? Because our strength is in Jesus Christ. It's not in the church. It's not in the pastor pastor, it's not in the ministry, it's in Him and Him alone. And you cannot substitute church for God. I don't care if you come every night. I don't care if you get a 10, you pitch it in this place. You can still die and go to hell because there's no life in this house. There's no life in the piano. There's no joy in the guitar. It's all in Jesus Christ, and you can't attain that by somebody else's prayer life. I don't care how well the preacher preaches. I don't care how anointed the singers get. You've got to have a relationship with God for yourself. And you teeter on backsliding all the time, and it's ridiculous. We're supposed to be more than conquerors through Christ, and we're the best day, we're survivors in Christ. On our best day, we think it's enough just to make it through and wake up the next day and be alive. Away with that. We're supposed to be powerful. I don't know what I'm going to do, Pastor. Something terrible happened. I said, what happened? I said, well, my transmission went out. I don't know how much more I can take. Do you know how dumb that is? And I don't, if I smile, that make it better. You don't love Jesus. You love what Jesus does for you. You're a humanist. You're not a Christian. You're humanistic. In that the only reason that you either saved or a Christian is so God will give you stuff. But I need to tell somebody today, and I say it with a heart of love, God's not your sugar daddy. He doesn't owe you anything. He doesn't owe us a car. He doesn't owe you money. He doesn't owe you health. He doesn't owe you anything. The only reason your heart's beating, the only reason you're drawing breath, somebody shout grace. Grace did it. It is unmerited. It is undeserved. It is unearned. The very fact that I'm here, I'm a child of God, ought to be enough in this place. I can't believe it. All this is happening to me. You know what? I've come to the conclusion of anything north of hell is just an awesome place to be. I'm going to say it again. Anything north of hell is just a great place to be. And if I'm in a house that I love, if I'm in a cardboard box, we ought to be able to say like Job, even if he slays me, I'm still going to trust him. It's not about what he can do for me. It's what he already did for me on the cross of Calvary. I don't need another thing. Let me have Jesus. That is enough. Amen. Give me. He's not your sugar daddy. You need to walk with God that says, even if I go to hell at the end of this thing, I'm still going to serve Him. Oh, you didn't like that. You didn't like that. Can I tell you, if you're one of those people who say, well, if I knew I was going to go to hell, I ain't serving God, then you're not saved anyway. Let me retract that. I don't want to try to come in and wax Pharisee. That's between you and God. But I'll tell you what it does indicate. It does indicate that you don't know Jesus like I know Him. Because this is the best life now. I would rather be saved and living for Jesus my whole life and go to hell at the end of it than to live in hell and then go to hell. There is life and rest and peace in Jesus. I don't serve Jesus so I can get out of hell and go to heaven. I serve Him because He loves me. I serve Him because He's awesome. I serve Him because He's powerful. I serve Him because He saved me. We served Him when we had no food. Served Him when we had too much food. Served Him when we lived in a 28-foot tractor trailer with the water froze up, no septic and no water for months during that first winter we came here. Still serving Him. Because it had nothing to do with cars and money. It had nothing to do with where I was laying my head at. It had to do with an 18-year-old boy who was lost and on his way to hell. I didn't know which way was up or down. And the Holy Ghost spoke to me in an S10 pickup truck so intoxicated I couldn't see, literally I couldn't see. And the Holy Ghost spoke to me and said, if you give your life to Jesus, we'll turn this around. And life came in. I don't need money to be happy. I don't need you to like me to be happy. My joy is not predicated or hinged or dependent upon you. That's a lot of our problem. The only way we can have rest in our mind is if everything is right. The only way we can have peace with God is if we got peace with everybody else. The only way I can have joy God that come hell or high water, it doesn't really matter. I abide in Jesus Christ and He lives in me. And I've got something that you can't take away. I want more than just a facade. I want something that's real. You'd be amazed at some of the junk people think and do when they're weary in their minds. Jesus is rest. I like Matthew 11, 28 through 30. It's really a paradox, really. This weird contradiction is not a contradiction at all. I'll tell you what I say. He says, come unto me, all you that labor, and are heavy laden. He says, I'm going to give you rest. How? How is He going to give me rest? Because this is not going to line up with our philosophy. You need rest, Sister Misty. The first thing that came to your mind, I'm trying to preach my guts out. The opposite. The first thing that's going to come to your mind is what? A vacation. You need some rest. First thing that comes to your mind. Doesn't matter who you are. We are so programmed as people, as humans, you need rest. Yeah, Bahamas would sound good. Jesus said, come unto me. Put a mark right there. Come unto me. All ye that labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest. He says, take my yoke upon you. Learn of me. Take my yoke upon you, which is an apparatus of plowing an oxen. I want you to take my yoke upon you and learn. I want you to sit down like a student, and I want you to learn of me. He said, you shall find rest unto your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. He says, I want you to have rest from your labor, so now you need to work. We don't think that way. We can't even hardly calculate that. I'm going to give you rest from your labor. How? Making you labor. I want you to take my yoke upon you. But you see, we've been taught that meant just take his yoke and put it upon. But it's not. It's a double-hinged yoke. I don't know the right word. But Jesus didn't leave that yoke. He is on the other side of that yoke. And I come on this side. And when we start plowing, what you find out real quick is that he's much more powerful than you. And when you get to a place that you can't, he still can. Somebody shout, I know he can. I want you to learn to me. So three things. I'm going to give you rest. I'm going to give you rest to your soul. 28, 29, both use the word rest. He said you got to do three things. You've got to come unto me. You've got to take my yoke. And you've got to learn of me. Not learn the church's doctrine. Not learn the traditions. Not learn the customs. He said, I want you to fall in love with me. I want you to be enamored by me. I want to be the one that you study. I want to be the one that you work with, that you labor in, that you talk to. Is there any radical Christians in here that'll say, I'm going to quit looking at the situation and I'm going to start looking at the master of everything that I need to be? Somebody shout, Jesus. I need rest. And it's a word picture that he gives us here. It's a picture of a man that's got a heavy load on his back, and he's going uphill. And you know how it is. The first few steps is all right, and you got strength, but every step you take, the heavier it gets. The heavier it gets. And we got a picture of a man, a woman at the top of a mountain about to fall down underneath the heavy load. And Jesus says, why don't you cast all your care upon me? I care for you. His shoulders are broad. His shoulders are wide. Whatever you brought in this house, I rebuke you for carrying it. You want to give it to Jesus today. I need to know that the Sabbath is in Jesus Christ. I read in the book of Hebrews again. Woo! That's meat for men. I'm talking about big men. And I come across Hebrews chapter 4. And it's changed my life. I've read the book of Hebrews dozens of times. Chapter 4, I've read it over and over and over. Read it for yourself. Hebrews chapter 4. Can I summarize it like this? Jesus is my Sabbath. He's my Sabbath. When you go without praying, you see, I used to preach on and teach praying all over the place. Teach and preach conferences and seminars on praying. And then I finally realized I was preaching it legalistically. How do you preach prayer legalistically? Bless God, if you don't pray an hour a day, you're going to hell. So what we did is we created a bunch of robots. And they walked the floor saying, oh God, help us, Lord. Oh God, oh Lord. And they were just praying and saying, they weren't really praying. Prayer's not prayer until there's a connection. Prayer's not prayer until you connect to Him. That's why even His sermon's not going to help you if you don't connect to Him. There has to be something that resonates, that draws you closer to Him. You will never have victory until you're connected. You will never have peace. I don't care where you go. I don't care how hard you try. I don't care how many church services you attend. You need to pray because God loves you and wants to pour Himself into you. Can't make up your mind whether you want to serve Him, not serve Him. Can't make up your mind whether you want to go to the house of God or not. Can't make up your mind whether you'll read the Bible or not read the Bible. And we say, I'm going to go to hell if I don't read my Bible. Why does everything have to be about heaven or hell? Why can't it be about the love of God and our love for God? Why can't you be a radical man of God because God so loved you and He gave His only begotten Son? Why can't we pray? Because we want Jesus, not because I've got to. Why can't we get up and get ready for church? Not because I'm going to get a phone call from Pastor, but because I want to meet with Jesus. I want to meet with the saints. I want to go to the house of God. I'm in love with Jesus. Why can't it be about Him? Why does everything have to be a heaven or hell issue? Why can't you wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to live holy today because God is worthy. He's honorable. I'm His ambassador and I want to shine a light to the world. Face, some of you will do stuff behind my back that you wouldn't do to my face. That's so crazy. God sees you. But you want to know why Hebrews 4 said that there was some that didn't enter into that rest? Because of unbelief. Amen. Unbelief. Amen. Some of you, when the pressure is on, you stop. You just quit. And you start looking back. What is back there? A bottle? A needle? A man or woman? What is back there? Money? You gain the whole world, you lose your soul. Amen. And everything is calculated by our understanding and perspective of worth. You got to have your name on a sign to be successful. You got to be in the limelight, the marquee. You've got to, this has got to happen, that's got to happen. And we're always discontent because of what happened or what we wish would happen. And we're never happy where we're at. Because we're always looking for something else. We're like addicts. We're junkies. And we can't be content where we're at because we haven't really come into Jesus like we should. You don't need anything else. I'm going to preach today because I feel this burning in my heart. I don't need anything else. I need Jesus. I need to walk in Him. I need to talk with Him. I need to live in Him. I need to move, and I need to have my being in Him. I want you to love me. But if you don't, I can still skip and sing Amazing Grace. If everybody shuts me off, if they kick me out of the church, I can wake up in the morning and dance because God loves me. I don't know what I'm going to do. You're going to serve Him. That's what you're going to do. And have you ever got to a place that you didn't know how to pray? I don't mean just not pray because you don't love God, but you don't know how to pray. I've been there lately. Just to be honest with you, be transparent. The Spirit of the Lord directed me to the Psalms. And I opened up the first Psalm. And I began to read, and there's this beautiful intertwining of David is magnifying God, and then something sparks and he starts praying. Go back and read them again and see what I'm saying. He starts magnifying God, and that magnification sparks something in his heart. And he starts crying out to him. So I've been laying prostrate on the floor, and I've been using the Psalms as medicine for the time. I'm not studying anymore for sermons. I'm not studying anymore for lessons. I'm just laying with my God. And when I'm reading about God and the words of David, the Holy Ghost are pouring out of the pages. I'm just absorbing it. I'm trying to learn of it. But then when David turns and starts praying, I started personalizing those prayers. I started saying, oh, magnify. I magnify you, oh God. Oh, deliver me from the hands of the wicked. And I felt a fire start burning in my heart. Is there anybody here that wants to fall in love with Jesus all over again? We need some desperate people in the house. We've allowed life, we've allowed family, we've allowed work, we've allowed situations and circumstances to knock the edge off of us. We've allowed past situations to affect our walk with God today. Away with all of that. I understand you're hurting. I understand you're in pain. But God is still alive today. Oh, He's still got your number. He's got glory for you. Let me show you what happens. I want to get us out of here. Luke 24. They're weary, they're tired. Man, there's just so much here. It's now the sun is setting and it's dark. You know what those preachers do? I'll say it before. You know what those preachers do when the pressure's on? We just stop thinking. We go into this spin. We're not really praying, not really studying like we need to. And we lose focus by forgetting what we're supposed to be and do. You know why ministers do that? Because we lost focus. You're not my bride. You're His bride. My only job is to prepare you to meet Him. But you know what as preachers do? We personalize this thing. And I start thinking, well, how come their spirit is so disgusting right now? Must have done something wrong. No, it's because you don't have a relationship with God. When we get in that, it's not got anything to do. And folk are blaming me because their kids are drunken and crazy and lost right now. No, it's your fault. It's just their fault. I mean, to stop blaming everybody else. If your walk with God is not what it's supposed to be, it is your fault. Because Jesus died for you, and He died for me, and He's an omnipresent God. That means that I can get a hold of Him down in a prison cell. It doesn't matter where you're at. They can't stop you from getting to Jesus. They're coming down now. They're at their house, 7 miles journey. They say, come in, sir. It's dark outside and you may not find a place to stay. He says, no, I'm going to keep moving. I said, no. We want you to come into the house. They still don't know who he is. And so they talk him into it and they bring him into the house. And they sit down. He sits down and the lady of the house begins to fix some food. And Jesus takes this piece of bread and He breaks it. And their eyes are open. Verse 16 said their eyes were shut. Verse 31 says their eyes are now open and they knew it's Him and He vanishes. What is the very first thing these guys do? It's nighttime and they're weary, they're depressed, they've lost their focus, they're devastated. But when their eyes are open and they see Jesus, Brother Rusty, you know the first thing they did was they got up and walked back to Jerusalem. Your problem isn't you work too much. Your problem isn't your family. Your problem isn't your husband or your wife. Your problem is you need to see Jesus again. I didn't come to the camp meeting message today. I come to talk to the people that I love, that God has set me as an under shepherd over. I come to tell some of you that we can have revival in this church. We can turn this place upside down, but it's not going to happen until we get connected to Jesus Christ again. It's not going to happen until we stop substituting ministry for Jesus, until we stop substituting preaching for Jesus, until we stop substituting gospel music for Jesus. You can listen to the singing McCamey's all day long. You're not going to be 1 inch closer to God than you were when you started. You've got to let your heart cry out to God. Is there anybody in this house that'll say, oh God, have mercy on me? I have lost focus of you and I'm coming back today. 7 miles. It wasn't they were tired from walking. They were tired because they lost focus.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let it soak. I'm going to get out of here. Sister Beth, can you come up here?